The story of Europe's Roma people is a road movie crisscrossing Europe since their arrival from India hundreds of years ago. But their story is also one of persecution and discrimination, exclusion and poverty, and that continues today. But here in eastern Slovenia, local people, Roma and non-Roma, have embarked on a project to break down the walls of ignorance that separate Roma from mainstream society. This is the Roma settlement of Kamensti in the region of Prekmurje, the launchpad for an innovative project supported by the Council of Europe, the continent's human rights watchdog. It's called the European Route of Roma Culture and Heritage, an international network of tourist sites to encourage direct people-to-people contact between Roma and non-Roma. It was launched here during Slovenia's chairmanship of the Council of Europe, but it has a specifically European dimension, as the head of the Slovenian government's Office of National Minorities explains.
We are still facing certain stereotypes against Roma, and even though I would say that the Slovenian way of thinking is very narrow, so this particular example here in Prekmurje is that we have to broaden our way of thinking. We have to go over borders, and we can get together with our friendly states around, we can get certain steps forward, even towards Roma community.
Music and dance are central to the Roma culture, and over the centuries it's inspired Europe's classical and popular composers, becoming an important part of Europe's cultural development. This project sees Roma culture not only as something to be celebrated in its own right, but a way of demystifying Roma people and challenging many of the misapprehensions about them. Among the guests at this event is a Roma journalist, Jake Bowers, from the United Kingdom.
My hope is that this route, it literally diverts people to meet Europe's largest ethnic minority. All Europeans know about Gypsy people. They see them at the side of the road, they see them in camps, they hear about us in fiction and in films, yet they don't know us. So, you know, if this road can literally bring them to people's front doors, then they will start to understand us.
The European Route of Roma Culture and Heritage launch followed a conference in nearby Lendava. Roma people and representatives of organisations working with them gathered to discuss the project's ideas, sharing their experiences of Roma cultural initiatives all across Europe. Irina Guidikova is the Council of Europe official responsible for the project's development. She explains where the idea first came from.
There is a program, 20 years old program of the Council of Europe called Council of Europe Cultural Roots, and it has always been considered a very effective way of raising awareness about the unity of Europe, the fundamental cultural unity of Europe. So we thought that because there is a big issue with with managing Roma inclusion through exclusively social or educational or political measures, it seemed appropriate to work on the deep-rooted attitudes in the majority about Roma people through establishing direct links between Roma and non-Roma.
The conference venue also hosted an exhibition of photographs depicting scenes from Roma communities. Photographer Nina Pusha discovered only recently that he has Roma roots. He's been chronicling the lives of Roma people for nearly 20 years. His interest developed when he suddenly found himself living alongside Roma people at a moment when social barriers had temporarily broken down.
Inspiration was in beginning of 90s, when I noticed when the war broke up in former Yugoslavia, that the Roma people were together with the refugees on the run, on the way. And in that time I noticed that they are very different than other refugees. They have another view of life, they have another visual communication, they have another culture. And since that time I'm with them on the way also, because I also was a refugee in that time.
Slovenia is just one stop on the Roma route, which links various important Roma cultural locations around Europe. The hope is that tourists will visit them and come to learn more about Roma people. But the project also emphasizes the importance of challenging prejudices by raising awareness among young people. Slovenian rap stars Murat and Jos are ambassadors for two high-profile anti-discrimination campaigns in their country. And they've lent their support to this campaign too.
I think that younger people are much more open to, I don't know, diversity. And even we, with our music, we had, I can say, some kind of success in this area. So people who listen to it, they became more aware of what's going on, and I think that things are starting to get better because of what we do.
The Council of Europe can't go it alone in the battle against Roma exclusion. The European Parliament has long supported and helped to coordinate initiatives aimed at combating discrimination against Roma people and promoting their inclusion. One of the MEPs most active in this respect is Livia Jaroka from Hungary, of Roma extraction herself.
When knowledge is there, when real knowledge is shown about the Roma, when there is first-hand experience between the groups and between the individuals, most importantly, then it's so obvious that we belong together.
Back in Kamenci, the European route of Roma culture and heritage is officially launched with the help of the village chief. Already this settlement's begun receiving regular visits from small groups of tourists, a development that's beginning to change the preconceptions not only of those tourists, but the Roma people's neighbours as well.
Let me tell you this. Before, people used to think about us in a very negative way. But what they see now makes Roma people all across Slovenia feel very proud. The local community is also very proud of what's going on here. The most popular tourist site in the area is now our Roma settlement here in Kamenci.
The launch of the Roma route has been a resounding success, but the Council of Europe and its partners can only do so much. The momentum for change must come from Roma communities themselves. This initiative suggests that using culture as a way of breaking down traditional barriers between Roma and non-Roma can be a compelling way to help Roma people help themselves.